Welcome to another episode of Stay Paid. I'm Joshua Stike along with Luke Acree. Super excited about today's guest, Matt Lionetti. Absolutely crushing it on Instagram with his humorous posts, showing his
He is hilarious.
That's
why I wanted to get him on. You guys got to follow this guy. That's your action item. I give you a better action item at the end, but definitely follow this guy because it is hilarious and you're going to get an amazing tip out of this interview that truly is hitting me in the heart exactly where I'm at today.
This was a convicting episode for Luke.
But I was already feeling it because I literally just talked to a couple people about this. Like, what do I do with my content? Because I'm just like everybody else. And Matt gives us the answer.
Absolutely. But before we bring him on, we'd love it if you take a minute to subscribe to Stay Paid on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. If you're not already subscribed, and while you're there, drop us a review to let us know how we're doing. We'll read it here on the show. This week's featured review comes from Most Traveled Fan via Apple Podcast. They say solid, timely, measurable, 5 stars. This is a great use of my time to listen to Josh and Luke and their guests. It's quick, solid, practical, and the right focus for moving forward and up. So thank you so much, Most Traveled Fan, for leaving that review. Now let's get into this week's interview.
From ReminderMedia, this is Stay Paid, a sales and marketing podcast on a mission to help you close more deals and retain more business. Hosted by the VP of Marketing, Josh Stike, and ReminderMedia's president, Luke Acree. So get ready to hear the golden nuggets that will allow you to live a life of freedom tomorrow, but only if you take action today.
Our guest today needs little introduction. If you're on Instagram and you have a sense of humor, you probably already know who he is. He's the host of the Overask podcast, a top 10 marketing podcast, co-hosted with the Broke Agent. He's also an award-winning real estate agent that has carved out a niche by using humor and content creation to break into the luxury real estate market in Toronto, Ontario, and beyond. Matt Lionetti, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. You're incredible at intros. Oh my God. You should hear us.
It's the one thing I've got going.
That's my dog, but you should hear us try and start our podcast. It's awful. Doesn't sound like that at all.
Well, you just became best friends with Josh, man, because
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I need a pat on the back every once in a while.
I agree with you though, man. Podcasts, like I tell you this, it's like the intro is like the hardest job. And you just have, it's because your dad was just a master in radio and you just, it's in your genes, man. It's in your genetics.
Stop.
Yeah, I start our podcast and it's just awful. And then we can never end the podcast either. So we have some work to do.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have to go check out the YouTube video if you want to see Josh blushing, you know?
Yeah, it's horrible. I don't take compliments well, so let's move on.
Let's move on.
But I appreciate you having me on. Thank you so much for the lovely introduction.
Yeah, Matt, we are excited to have you on the show. I want to dive right in because Josh said it, like you are just awesome at content, man. Like I love your stuff you're putting out. It's hilarious. I want to ask you kind of right out of the gate though, is I think what people struggle with content is you do all this work for content, but does it actually lead to business? And I'm curious, like you're doing all this, that you're doing the podcasting with Overask, you're hilarious on Instagram and your YouTube videos and stuff like that. Has it led to business for you? Why are you doing so much content?
Yeah. So that's an awesome question. I get it a lot. And like it started as a joke. I was sick and tired of seeing like the same thing over and over again. So I was like, I just want to like have like a muse and an outlet and just make things fun. So then I did that. And it was cool. I did it I went solo. I did it on my first listing video. It sold the listing in like 5 or 6 hours, 3 offers over ask. 2 of the offers came from the listing video. It was like a comedic listing video. I know that because they called me. They said, "Hey, we saw your Instagram video. We're going to see the house." 2 of those people offered on the house.
Wow.
So right there, I was like, okay, and at the time I had like 800 followers. It got the most traction I had ever gotten on Instagram. So I was like, okay, there's something here. And before this, I was always told you can't do this. It's not professional. No one's going to take you serious. But I just went and tried it because like I said, I was just so like, I was so sick and tired of seeing the same thing over and over. Sold. My clients are the best. My clients are amazing. They're, like,
or the motivational content that I put out. You got to grind, have confidence,
rise and grind. Yeah. So I was just like, okay, I'm just going to do this. So that happened. It sold. It was a really good house too. So like it had no business selling over ask, and it did. And then I was like, okay, there's something here. I'm going to explore this more. And I did. And you can see from the start of this, that was about 2 years ago. You can see it kind of me taking more risks, getting edgier, stuff like that. Cause I'm finding my footing through this whole process. And, the one that really started, like, I found the conversion and like the return on interest was I did this Freddie Mercury video where my clients bought a home. I was like, hey, some people, when I have a mustache, people tell me I look like Freddie Mercury. So I'm like, I'm going to dress like Freddie at the Live Aid. I don't know if you've seen that. He's doing the whole,
I saw the video too. It's amazing. Yeah. Everybody's got to watch it.
Thank you. So I did that and it was for nothing. It wasn't for like a listing or anything. My clients had just bought the house and I just thought it'd be a funny video just for likes and comments and brand awareness. I did that. And I should mention before too, I was a very journeyman type of agent before all this. Like I wasn't doing a lot of business at all. And no one knew who I was. And it was just kind of like, I was just going through the motions of this industry.
How long had you been in real estate up to that point?
Up to that point, 3 years.
3 years. Okay. So then 2 years, so 5 years total. Okay.
Yeah. So I did that. I did the video, came out, and like it's not a ton of money when you think real estate, but it is. So like I spent $300 on the video, and then the return from that video alone that year was about $47,000 in commission. Ooh. So like, which, you know, in the grand scheme of real estate, people are like, oh, that's so one check or whatever. But like, these were like, you know, $500,000 houses at the time. So I did, I think 3 of them from that video alone. And I was like, that's pretty good because I spent $300 on the video. Half of that was trying to find the outfit. Have you tried to find a studded belt these days? I don't know. There's like there's like $70.
You should have called Josh. He has like a ton of them in his closet.
Yeah. I can't give them away fast enough.
I did that. And then from that, it's even trickled into this year. One of my clients who saw that video and bought with me, referred me to their family, and they ended up buying this year like a $2.5 million or $2.2 million house.
Jeez.
So it's still from that video alone, I'm at about $95,000 in commission from just me dressing up like an idiot.
Yeah.
You know,
you said you spent $300 on the video. You said half of that was for the wardrobe. Was the other half, did you boost it? And where did you boost it to? Like, how did you promote it?
No, it was just a buddy of mine who had a camera. I just paid him $150.
All that views, all that traction was organic.
Yeah, I don't boost. I boosted a little at the beginning, but I don't boost anything. Everything's organic.
Wow.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. It's funny. It's like, there's 2 things I want to touch on there and kind of pick your brain on is one is this idea of, you talked about finding your footing in this process of content. And it's encouraging me to hear you say like, you were like, people were telling you, don't do that type of content. It's not going to resonate. It's a big risk, right? You're putting yourself out there. And you still probably are feeling like, am I risky enough? Am I edgy enough? How do you find that balance? Because I'm struggling with that. I literally had a conversation with my brother. He's in real estate down in Virginia. And I was just like, hey, man, tell me about my content. When you see it, like, I feel like it's just what you said. It's like everybody else. It's the same thing, whether it's a motivational thing, a picture of you and your family. Like, how do you get out there and break through the noise? How have you gone through that process and thought about it?
Yeah. So like my biggest hurdle was a couple, like pigeonholing myself into just like a comedy thing. Oh, he's an actor. He's doing this. He doesn't have enough time for real estate. That was a big hurdle I had to get over. And yeah, like, my thing was like, is it too edgy? Are people going to actually think it's unprofessional?
Right.
So these are the type of things I'm looking at. I knew like from the start, it was different than a lot of the other content. So I had that down. I knew it was different, but was it different in the right way where it's actually still going to create business? And then, I've decided now, and I've seen the conversions and the return on interest on these videos. And I've just decided that, not everyone's going to like them, but the people who do are going to like them 10 times more because not everybody likes them. Mm. So they think it's 10 times cooler because that person thinks I'm an asshole. And the people who are with me, they think, oh, this guy's like, he's kind of rebelling against the industry. It's cool. That's the kind of person I want in my corner because, I get a lot of messages now from agents, from potential clients that they just say, you just seem real. Like you bring a realness, you swear in your videos. Like I swear in real life. I don't want to, this is what the clients are saying. They're like, I swear in real life. I don't want to feel like I have to go work with someone and be on my best behavior. They're like, you're just a breath of fresh air. And that's the kind of messages I get. So it's pretty cool. And it's just really eliminated a lot of like appointments. People call me now because they want to work with me. I'm not really competing with people. I'm not going to appointments, competing with like 4 or 5 other agents.
Yep. Have you found that it's really increased your referral network? Because I see a lot of real estate agents obviously follow you, right? A lot of comments on your stuff. Has it fed your referral network that way?
Yeah, like crazy. And I wasn't even thinking of that. Like I didn't even have that in my mind. I didn't even think that was a thing really, but I'm fortunate that I had, I live in Toronto and just outside of Toronto. So this is something that, when people move to Canada, they're a lot of the time moving to Toronto or Vancouver.
So it's interesting. It's like, because my brother gave me similar advice. He goes, the problem you have is like, he was obviously doing what, good friends, I guess, and good family members. So no, man, your content's good. And I was like, no, just tell me
Your
like it
intros
is.
are great. Yeah.
Don't be my mother. You're my brother. But the point being is, he goes, your problem is, he goes, you aren't strong enough in your belief of what you want and why you're doing what you're doing. And because of that, you are thinking about the content more than just what you're trying to do, like what you're trying to get to. I don't know if that makes sense and resonates, but it's like, if you are so passionate about what you're trying to do, then it doesn't matter. Like, I don't care. I'm just doing it because this is what I'm passionate about. Like for you, like one of the key things you said that stuck out of my mind, it started as a muse for you. Like this was a way for you. You were just having fun. You were doing it. It's like who you really were. You were going to do it whether people liked it or not. Obviously, you want people to like it. Yeah. And that's what he touched on too. It's just like, you got to go back to latch onto that message, whatever it is that you're posting, whatever content you're creating, latch onto something that you really are passionate about. And you could give 2 Fs if somebody actually cares about it or not, because you are passionate about it. And that's why you're screaming it to the world.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. I mean, you need to find your passion, because when you're passionate about it and when you like to do it, that's the only way you're going to stay consistent. And consistency is the only way you're going to grow anything.
Do you get a lot of hate?
No, not as much as you would think. A lot of people, I thought I was going to get a lot more hate. I mean, there's obviously some agents have no sense of humor, mostly in the Facebook groups. I don't know if you've noticed the Facebook groups, I don't even understand how they're real estate agents, like just zero sense of humor. So that's where I get most of my hate. And it's from like older agents who just don't get it. And that's fine.
We had a comment today. Speaking of that, we had a comment today on one of our Facebook ads. One of the products we offer is postcards sending to your database. And we had written like in the ad copy, something like keep in touch with your clients and, the holiday season, sending this postcard to your database. And somebody commented, some real estate agent literally comments and goes, I'm not going to quote it word for word. It's basically like, what professional would refer to their clients as a database? And I'm like, what is wrong with you? How long have you been an agent? How long have you been in business? All right. So let's talk about the actual tactics of content creation. Like, how do you actually go through this process of like, how much content are you putting out? Do you have any, strategies around how often you post, when you post? What are you looking at? Can you give us some coaching on that from your perspective and what you've seen?
Yeah. So I try and do a video once a week if I can. A lot of people try and do it, just pump out as much content as they can during a day or a week. I'm a firm believer in quality over quantity. So I want my video to be the best video it can be. I don't want to just put out something that I'm not really stoked about. So if I need to take a week or 2 off, I'll do that to make sure that my video is where it needs to be, because I want to hold it to a standard. Like this is kind of a newer space in real estate. Like this, a lot of them are popping up now, this comedic skit kind of thing. And I want to hold mine to a standard that's like, okay, he means business. Every time he comes out with a video, I'm excited. So that's the first thing for me. And yeah, it's part of my business now. So I hear a lot of people say, I don't have time to do it. Well, you have time if you time block it into your day. So that's all I do. I know, okay, I'm filming a video this day, I'm editing this day, whatever. I have to storyboard some I do by myself. My wife helps me. Some I hire my crew. I have a video crew now that comes on, mainly for my listings and stuff, because I want to make the listings as good as possible. But yeah, it's a big part of my business, and I have to treat it like a pillar of my business, which it is. So, and even right down to posting, I know when I'm posting, I need to be by my phone because I need to strike up that engagement. When people comment, I got to comment back. I turn on notifications. I know, like, for at least the first 2 hours, I need to be by my phone so I can get that algorithm going and get it out to more people. Like, there's a lot of strategy that goes behind it. It's not just you decide to make a video, you make it the same day, you post it, and then you leave your phone for 7 hours. There's steps to it.
I saw that Katie Lance, I'm not sure if you're familiar with her, but she's big in the social media world for real estate agents as a speaker. She was talking about that as one of the biggest mistakes she sees as well, is that agents will post and then she called it run. They like post and run away. It's like, let me spam your news feed with something and then go away and never talk again. And basically the concept is for the algorithm is that you obviously need to show engagement. And this is why you'll post, like I see this all the time for my Instagram. If I post a photo that resonates within the first so many minutes, right, it's getting a ton of different likes, which then all of a sudden, now I know I'm actually going to get the likes. Where if for some reason in the first it doesn't connect and people are just scrolling by it, then Instagram just decreases that reach to where you get hardly any engagement. Are you going out and commenting on other people's posts after you post? Are you doing engagement that way? Or is it just when people comment, you're just commenting back? Or do you actually go do a strategy of trying to engage with a bunch of people on the platform right after you post?
Yep, I do that as well. So obviously I'll respond to all the comments on mine, and then I'll head over to Broke Agent and, you have to comment on similar pages, people who have, similar followings.
Okay,
so that's what I try and do. Yeah. And comment something out of the ordinary. So like when Broke Agent posts something, I don't just do like, crying, laughing face. I'll post like something that will gain attention. So I'll be like, it'll be a picture of like Mr. Bean, and I'll write, "Is this you?" Just something and then people like it and laugh, and then they come over to my page and they see my video and it has similar content to the Broke Agent. And that's kind of how I've been able to build and grow this organically, along with like, the Broke Agent does the same thing with me. He'll share my content because that's what he's doing, and he has to post 3 times a day. So if one of those posts can be something I've done, then that takes, a weight off him for one of those posts. So it's all just kind of like I said, it's definitely strategic. People think we're just kind of like posting memes and videos and
goofing off.
Yeah. Yeah. Goofing off.
Should every real estate agent be creating content and video content and focusing on Instagram? Or is it like, you obviously have the sense of humor, you're natural at this. Should you be playing to those strengths, or do you just got to find your niche within the content space?
Exactly. I think you have to find your niche for sure, because people always say, I want to create content, but I'm not funny. And I always say, like, you don't have to be funny. You have to find your lane, because people they want to know who you are more than ever. People don't care if you sell 100 homes anymore. That statistic doesn't matter to people. They want to know that they can relate to you and you're genuine and you're a good person more than ever, in my opinion. So you have to find, what part of your personality are people going to gravitate towards? Why do your friends like you? Try and translate that into video or a post, or a photo. It doesn't have to be video. You can do a photo and then write about what happened to you that day. People are more interested in you than you would think. I found that out too. So find your niche. This is another thing. Say the 3 of us are agents.
Yep.
We go into a listing appointment to someone who loves this particular seller loves horseback riding. I don't know anything about horseback riding. I'm going to say you guys don't either.
I rode a horse twice. So
okay, so there we go.
I might be a little further than you guys, but that's it.
But then the fourth agent has a bunch of content. They're selling, but then they have a bunch of content that they're passionate about, which is horseback riding. So right away, they go into the appointment last after the three of us. I don't care if we sell 1,000 more homes than that person. We're not getting the listing 95% of the time. They're going to create that connection. They're going to be like, I saw, what's your horse's name? Oh yeah. I went to this track. I don't even know this track. And, I raced my horse here. You're going to build that connection to the point where it's like, you feel like you have a friend. You feel like you have someone actually by your side. And I think that is more valuable than any statistic.
So true, man. There's an agent we interviewed. Everybody should listen to the episode with Shannon Gillette.
Yeah.
She's out in Arizona. She's like a top 1% real estate agent. But what drew me to her was I listened to her on the Tom Ferry podcast, and she's really a master at the Instagram side, content creation, but it's different than yours, right? So this speaks to the point you're making. Like yours is comedy and hilarious and draws people in. Hers is like she posts about her family all the time, and she does her listing videos and everything like that. And she does them really high quality. They're great. But the main thing that draws you in is just every day she's consistently just documenting and posting about her life. And she has attracted a whole tribe of people. And I guarantee if you looked at probably her database, it's a ton of families. It's a ton of people who are, involved. Like she's super involved in her church. There's probably a ton of people like that because she's attracting that same vibe of people. Totally different content set than you, but it's good content posted consistently. And most importantly, it's authentic and genuine, and it pulls people in, which is the key. Talk to us. You've been in real estate for 5 years. The agency you're with now, did you get recruited to them because of your content? I saw some stuff on the web about that, but I'm curious, like, why did you choose to go there? And did the content help you get there? What does that look like?
Yeah. So they came, so they opened up in Toronto last year, at the beginning of last year. And the managing partner here, Peter Torkin, kind of, messaged me, wanted me to join, sent me like everything about I had already known about them. And it just, it just aligned. Their brand and what I'm trying to do was like the perfect fit for me. Before, I was never stoked on my brokerage. I wasn't passionate about it. I didn't care to tell anyone I was with that brokerage. There's just nothing, and then when I got here, I'm very proud to be a part of the brokerage. And I find that, the brokerage doesn't matter as much as it used to. Cause like we're saying, they want to know the person, but you still have to be proud about, what you represent. And the agency does that for me. It's for me, the greatest brokerage in the world. And yeah, I'll never leave.
Are you focused on luxury yourself?
Getting there now. I mean, before the agency, I wasn't at all.
Okay.
And now I'm starting to really hit that. And that was another thing. I was trying to break that market. And the managing partner here at the agency, and the agency is known as a luxury brand. So they really helped me like open some doors, because it's hard to break into it.
Yeah, because it's all networking. It's all it's who you know type idea, or relationships, I should say. It's not. It's the relationships you have. But your content, like that plays in again. Like, are you nervous about your content in the luxury space? What you're feeling there is just the same. Like you're just going to be like, no, I'm going to go harder because there's people in the luxury market that will relate to it.
Yeah, rich people like to laugh too. So. I'm just going to stick to my guns. I love the contrast of I am the least luxurious person you'll ever meet. Like I go to a steakhouse and order chicken tenders and fries. Like this is
everybody loves the chicken tendies.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with chicken tenders.
Seriously.
So, I love the contrast of that. Like I wear like jeans and a band tee, and I'll go into a $7 million listing. Like
that's awesome.
I love that. Like everyday dude. Representing, because I do my job very well. Doesn't matter, what I look like. If I go and eat oysters every day, and I drive a Mercedes and show off my, Gucci shoes and watch, that none of that matters. Like, so I love that contrast. I've always loved that contrast. And that's what our podcast is about too. Like two normal dudes talking to these like monsters in the industry. So that's what I'm trying to do with the luxury end of things. Just bring a more of a realness, maybe not a realness, but just something that you haven't really seen. Every luxury agent is
suit and tie, clean cut. Yep.
And that's a lot of the agency crew in LA, especially, are not like that. Like they'll be wearing like an agency tee and some jeans.
Oh, nice.
And their monsters sell $200, $300, $400 million in real estate a year. You know?
So tell us about the podcast. When did you begin it? Why did you choose to start it? And what has it kind of done for your own brand and your own business?
Yeah, the podcast. So Broke Agent and I were talking about starting something up for a little bit. And at the end of 2020, we're like, well, let's try we did a podcast. We did like an interview together. I don't know what it was for. But we're like, oh, this is kind of cool. Let's see if we can make something about this. So then we're like, let's do a podcast. And then, we've just figured with the Broke Agent following and my following growing, we can probably get some pretty good guests. So we're like, let's do a podcast and let's like try and get some really big guests right off the bat so we can leverage the rest of the podcast. Mm-hmm. Like, so our first two guests were Jordan Cohen, who's the number one Remax agent in the world.
Yep.
And then second was Sirhan. So from that, we figured, okay, now they've been on, we can pretty much get anybody.
Yep.
Because we say, hey, here's our podcast. We've had Jordan Cohen and Ryan Sirhan on. Do you want to join? And then like, if they say no, it's like, well, you're better than Ryan Sirhan. Are you insane? So that's like, that was our, like, in our mind.
That's your email drip.
That's your close.
Yeah, that's the email drip.
Yeah, it's the close. So, and we started in January. Got those guys. And since then we've had Mauricio Umansky, he's the founder of the agency, Maya Vander from Selling Sunset. We've had a lot of great guests.
I saw you guys had Peter Lorimer. He's freaking awesome. We've had him. Love him, man.
Awesome. He's so good.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. No, it's a great show. I want to encourage everybody who's listening to the podcast now. You guys got to check it out. I've been listening to it. It's awesome. You guys are hilarious. Which is great too, because you add that comedy into the show as well. Actually, when you're saying one of the golden nuggets that pops out to me, Josh and I just went to a conference called the Entrepreneur Conference in Long Island, and we saw, a bunch of people. Grant Cardone was there, Michael Burt, Brad Lee, though. I don't know if anybody's familiar who listens to this to Brad Lee, but he has a podcast called Dropping Bombs. Now, I will, caveat it with it. He's decently vulgar. He's out there, right? But he's so his authentic self that, like, he literally, his whole talk was on this. He's just like, I know there's so many people in this audience right now that I'm offending. I know so many of you think I'm a dick or think I'm terrible, right? And it was something that powerfully, like, those people hated him more. And the other people were like, freaking love Brad Lee. And the guy is uber
intense.
Yeah, man, he is intense. Uber successful, funny. He's hilarious as well. But it's a big struggle. Like, even for myself, right? We've been doing this podcast for 4 years now? Three and a half?
3.5. Well, we'll come up on 4 years in January.
Yeah, almost 4 years. Yeah. And it's just like, still with my social, with this podcast, with it, getting the ability, I don't know what the right word is for it, but getting the ability and courage to just be yourself and not fake stuff is really, really difficult. Doesn't matter what, our company's a pretty big company and we've been really successful, and it's still, even for someone like myself. So it's really inspirational kind of hear you're just like, I don't care. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it this way. And it's proven to be successful. And then the same thing I got from Brad Lee. It's like, so watch out, Josh. You're going to see you're going to be like, who is this Luke? No.
It's changed my entire business. Like this, it changed my entire career. Like, 2 years ago, I have a podcast now. I'm doing these speaking gigs. I'm like, we have merch. It's like, this is like creating a brand now. Like,
you made it when you got merch.
Yeah. What type of merch you got?
We just got a bunch of, it's actually really cool merch. It's like, we have Showing Confirmed shirts, we have some Broke Agent shirts, Overash shirts. On Wednesdays, we sell hoses. It's a Mean Girls quote. We got a bunch of,
That's awesome.
We're coming out with some new, it's actually really cool, really comfortable. You should go get it, brokeagentstore.com. But, it's changed kind of everything. And people will tell me, they're like, yeah, Matt, your content is really funny, but it's not valuable. So you're not going to convert a lot of people. And I say, well, I get messages all the time from it saying like, I loved your video. It made my day. You made me laugh. I was having such a bad day and you made my day. And I always say, I'd say that's the most value you can bring to somebody.
Yep.
You can Google house statistics. No one needs you for house statistics. No one wants to watch you. Sorry, I don't know if you can swear on this. It's the worst I can see on this. They're like, yeah, and the market's up 2%. They don't even know what the hell they're talking about. If you ask them to lose the chart, they have no clue what they're talking about. Right. So, no one wants to see that. You can Google statistics, but you're gonna do better if you can make someone feel something.
Mm-hmm. Matt, before we close out, I want to ask you, we always ask everyone who comes on the show, what would you go back, knowing what you know now, what would you go back and tell younger Matt?
I would just start, I'd say, be your idiot self sooner. And do video. Video is, it's going to be like more and more every year. People have been saying it for the last, I feel like I've heard people say they've been saying it for the last 10 years in real estate, that video is the future of real estate. People, especially now with everything going on, like people want to feel like they know you. They don't necessarily want you on their front doorstep in a lot of places. I know where I am, not really. It's kind of a weird time to be knocking on people's doors and trying to get into their house. Yep. People want to feel like they know you. You can't have a page that hides behind solds, houses, and never showing yourself because no one's going to call you. Video breaks down that wall. It makes people feel like they know you before they know you. And it's way easier to pick up the phone and call someone that you know than, you posting sold signs and houses. You could be a psychopath. No one, you don't even know what the person looks like when they come to your house. So true. Yeah. I don't want that. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is so true.
Yeah, it's well said.
How do you want people to connect with you? Where do you want them to follow you? All that good stuff.
Matt.Lionetti on Instagram. You can just get everything from there. It's spelled Lionetti, Lionetti, but it's Lionetti, in fact. And most people actually think my name is three people, Matt, Lee, and Eddie.
And Eddie?
So you
that
can
would have been a good
like
Instagram
that. handle,
Matt, Lee,
and Eddie. Matt, Lee, and Eddie. Maybe I'll do something.
Make sure to follow Matt. Make sure to pick up some of that merch as well that he spoke about. We're going to include all of those links in our show notes as well for this episode. You can get those over at staypaidpodcast.com. If you'd enjoy this episode and want to know how to show your support, the best way is to leave a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts along with a comment in your review. And we would love if you share this episode with
Matt,
friend,
Lee, and Eddie.
With Matt, Lee, and share that with all three. If you want to get hold of me or Luke, you can email us at podcast@remindermedia.com, or of course you can find us on Instagram. We're at Stay Paid Podcast. For this episode of Stay Paid, I'm Joshua Stike.
Guys, I'm Luke Acree. Matt, really appreciate you coming on. It was encouraging to me. It just fueled me on going, yeah, that's what it is. You got to double down on your authentic self. My challenge to everybody, we try to give everybody an action item, right, at the end of every podcast that you can implement. Really, what I would challenge you right now is going, are you taking enough risk in your content? And the answer is probably no, because you're probably scared of what other people think, just like I'm scared naturally. Most people are, right? You need to post the content that you want to post, and that is true to your authentic self. Whatever that is, we gave 2 examples on here. There's many examples. There's the example of Matt with the comedy, Shannon with the content of her and her family. Some people don't ever want to post a picture of them because they don't think they look good on camera. Right? What was it? The guy that does Massive Agent podcast, Dustin Brome. Yeah. He goes, I hate to break it to you. That's how you look. You look that way. So get used to posting that on video. But your action item, take risk. Take a risk. Get a little edgier in your content. Be your authentic self. Remember, the difference between a top producer and a mediocre producer is top producers take action. Take action on that today.